accidental leak of secret war plans on a group chat ignites outrage.
Having the most powerful people in your country not take their responsibilities seriously can be lethal.
Angry denials.
Nobody was texting war plans.
And claims of ignorance.
I don't know anything about it.
But will their own words about online security come back to haunt them?
If there was anyone other than Hillary Clinton, they would be in jail right now.
Mishandling classified information is still a violation of the Espionage Act.
On the March 25th episode of The View, the co-hosts tackled a bombshell report that has Washington and the internet buzzing. A leaked group chat between top U.S. officials casually discussing secret war plans accidentally included a journalist and set off alarm bells about national security and accountability. The panel didn't hold back, drawing sharp comparisons to past controversies over mishandled classified information and questioning whether political double standards are at play. With a mix of humor, outrage, and sharp legal insight, The View dove headfirst into the scandal that's raising eyebrows across the country. This is a big bang, so don't hesitate, join now.
So yesterday, news broke that top administration officials used a group text chain to discuss secret war plans in Yemen and accidentally added the Atlantic journalist, my cousin Jeffrey Goldberg, to the chat. Now here's how this situation evolved. Take a look.
I'm added to a group of seemingly very, very high national security officials of the United States. I think that this is a spoof. I had actually mistakenly been included in a conversation of the Principals Committee, essentially the leaders of the national security community, including the head of the CIA, in this discussion of whether the Houthis should be attacked in Yemen.
I don't know anything about it. It couldn't have been very effective because the attack was very effective. I can tell you that. I don't know anything about it. You're telling me about it for the first time.
You're talking about a deceitful and highly discredited so-called journalist who's made a profession of peddling hoaxes time and time again. Nobody was texting war plans, and that's all I have to say about that. Thank you.
He can say that it wasn't a war plan, but it was a minute by minute accounting of what was about to happen.
You mean like a plan?
Apparently, lots of Republicans are downplaying this.
The recent revelation that top U.S. national security officials discussed classified war plans over a group text chain is nothing short of alarming. These are the highest-ranking individuals tasked with safeguarding the nation's most sensitive information, and yet they chose to handle military strategy as casually as coordinating a weekend barbecue. The decision to use an unsecured, informal messaging thread to talk about potential airstrikes in Yemen demonstrates a shocking level of irresponsibility and a complete disregard for protocol. What makes the situation even more outrageous is the accidental inclusion of journalist Jeffrey Goldberg in the chat. Yes, a working member of the press was mistakenly looped into a conversation detailing imminent military action. Within 2 hours of receiving the messages, the US launched airstrikes, meaning Goldberg received classified intelligence in real time before it became public. This is not just an embarrassing mishap. It's a clear security breach that could have had devastating consequences if that information had landed in the wrong hands. The fact that a reporter had more discretion with the information than the officials who shared it speaks volumes. This incident underscores a disturbing double standard in how breaches of classified information are handled. When Hillary Clinton used a private email server, the political fallout was massive and relentless. "Lock her up" became a rallying cry, repeated ad nauseum, by those who insisted that any mishandling of national secrets should result in criminal charges. But now, with a group of current officials exchanging war plans via text, and doing so with laughable carelessness, many of those same voices are silent or dismissive. The hypocrisy is not only blatant, it's dangerous.
But you remember, back in the day, they had a much different response when they accused Hillary Clinton of a security breach. Take a look.
You most certainly know you shouldn't be talking about it or passing it on in an email. It's complete recklessness and incompetence.
People have gone to jail for 1/100th of what, even 1/1000th of what Hillary Clinton did.
Mishandling classified information is still a violation of the Espionage Act.
In my administration, I'm going to enforce all laws concerning the protection of classified information. No one will be above the law.
Sir, the question is he going to make good on this promise?
Oh, yeah.
What should happen here? Should we be saying lock them up? How does it...
You know what I mean? I'd like to answer on the legal piece.
Yeah.
I would like to answer on the legal piece
Okay.
because they may have violated several provisions of the Espionage Act, which governs the handling of national defense information. And so what happened here, apparently, in my view, ran afoul of both laws that require the retention of records and, more importantly, laws related to classified information. A security breach this significant requires a thorough investigation. People can go to jail for something like this. There are several consequences to it. And when he's saying nothing to see here, it probably didn't even happen, what I will say is just 2 hours after Goldberg received the details of the attack on March 15th, the U.S. began launching a series of airstrikes against targets in Yemen. So not only is this accurate, the reporter has the receipts, and the reporter, although having the receipts, didn't even write the details down in the Atlantic, which means he handled the national security information more appropriately than the people that are tasked with this information.
You could see the frustration written all over Whoopi's face, and she didn't mince words. From her point of view, the hypocrisy in how this security breach is being handled compared to the Hillary Clinton email scandal is just another example of America's selective outrage. Whoopi was crystal clear. People are tired of being lied to and treated like they're too dumb to notice. When officials are caught red-handed, there's always some excuse or denial, and it's insulting. Don't talk to us like we don't know what's going on, she said, cutting through the noise. And you can see, to Whoopi, this isn't just about politics. It's about basic accountability. If they could scream lock her up for years over some emails, then why is there silence now when actual war plans were leaked via text? That double standard is what she's calling out. She represents the voice of the everyday American who's had enough of leaders acting like rules don't apply to them. Her message is simple. We see what you're doing, and we're not buying the excuses anymore. Sunny, the legal eagle on the panel, brought the heat with her sharp legal breakdown. From her perspective, this wasn't just sloppy, it was a serious violation of the law. She pointed out that what happened here likely breached several provisions of the Espionage Act, which governs the handling of national defense information. According to Sunny, this wasn't a harmless glitch, it could be criminal. And she was particularly outraged that the people responsible were shrugging it off like it was no big deal. Sunny emphasized that if this had been anyone else, especially a Democrat, they would already be facing legal action. The inconsistency in consequences, especially when compared to the uproar over Hillary Clinton's emails, shows a clear political bias. People have gone to jail for far less, she reminded the audience, highlighting how justice often isn't served evenly in America. And while she doesn't expect much to happen, because powerful people often walk away unscathed, she made it clear that there should be consequences. For Sunny, this is a textbook case of the law being ignored for political convenience.
Let me tell you how this is supposed to work. So when I was in the Pentagon, I was involved with planning leading up to airstrikes a number of times. Now, what happens is either all the senior leaders gather in the White House Situation Room. Yes. Soleimani strikes Baghdadi.
Every time
every time.
She was in on war plans. I never heard that before.
Yes, and so what would usually happen is that all the senior leaders would gather in the White House Situation Room, or like we saw in the bin Laden raid, the famous Obama photo, or the respective leaders would be in the State Department SCIF, at the Pentagon, they call it the tank, and everyone would be in a classified, secure location. No one would have a personal cell phone. You wouldn't even have your government device with you, and you'd be video conferencing with the other people that you're with. And in the off chance you're not near the Pentagon or the State Department, every one of these leaders has what's called a SCIF in their home. They have the ability at any time, because that's what national security entails, to be able to do this legally and safely. An encrypted messaging app is not secure. It is not where you can legally share classified information. And by the way, when you're this senior of a leader, you are told to expect that foreign adversaries are monitoring all of your communications. I'd remind people, Tulsi Gabbard was allegedly on this text thread, who we know has at times espoused Kremlin propaganda. And finally, my last piece of advice. If you are going to start a text chain with national security secrets, don't name it what you're doing. They called it the Houthi PC small group. That'd be like if they put on Obama's calendar, like Osama bin Laden raid at 12 o'clock. It's nuts. Like, it makes no sense.
As a former Pentagon press secretary and White House communications director, Alyssa Farah Griffin didn't downplay the gravity of what happened. She was visibly disturbed by the recklessness of using a group text chain to discuss classified war plans. For her, this wasn't just a lapse in judgment, it was a blatant violation of protocol that could have put lives at risk. Alyssa emphasized how shocking it was that such high-ranking officials who should know better chose to communicate sensitive national security decisions over an unsecured platform. She explained how, during her time in the Department of Defense, even stepping into secure conversations required being in a classified location, like a sensitive compartmented information facility, with 0 personal devices allowed. In her words, an encrypted messaging app is not a secure channel for classified intel. And every single one of these leaders knows that. Alyssa also noted that these officials are briefed to expect foreign adversaries to be monitoring their communications at all times, which makes this lapse not just irresponsible, but potentially dangerous. Alyssa didn't hold back on pointing out the absurdity of naming the chat something as on the nose as Houthi PC small group, likening it to labeling a calendar entry. Osama bin Laden raid, 12 p.m. To her, it showed a level of injuriousness that's completely unacceptable in matters of war. And while she stopped short of accusing specific individuals without an investigation, she made it clear. This is a breach that must be looked into, and anyone responsible should face the consequences, regardless of party or position.
Well, and Tulsi Gabbard wrote or tweeted on March 14th, quote, "Any unauthorized release of classified information is a violation of the law and will be treated as such." But I was just watching her in a CNN hearing, and on CNN in the hearing, and she was saying that she couldn't comment. So I'm guessing those words might be haunting her earlier than she thought. But do I think anything will happen as a result? I don't. Because we have watched the way Donald Trump handles classified information for years. He was indicted on charges. In 2017, he disclosed classified information to Russian government representatives. He's kicked translators out of rooms. In 2019, he tweeted classified satellite imagery of an Iranian site revealing highly sensitive U.S. Information. He hasn't cared, and I think some of that comes from a lot of people that understand the consequences of this have served in the military, which is why this is really rich, because about 4 of these people were military. They were public service military people that know what can happen in this. But Donald Trump's never served in the military. He's never dealt with consequences. So he doesn't understand that this stuff can put not only our lives at danger, but our national security. And for an administration that rode on the message of national intelligence, it is also rich that we are watching this play out. And I don't think anything's going to happen.
Well, I will say this. I want people to stop pretending. When you see it, you've got the information they are giving it. Stop saying it didn't happen, because we're not dumb.
What do you think about this shocking breach of national security? Do you believe there will be real consequences, or is this just another example of powerful people dodging accountability? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below and let's talk about it. If you found this breakdown helpful or eye-opening, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more real talk on the biggest headlines. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.